people are going to forget like what specifically you said,
Right.
but they're never going to forget like how you made them feel.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, as always, Todd Dexheimer. And like always, on these Wednesdays, we got Matt Jones. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing, Todd?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. We got our North Star Real Estate Conference coming up tomorrow, and I'm just super excited about it. We've got some amazing speakers showing up and a lot of good friends of mine that I'm excited to see, people traveling from different places in the country. So I'm super excited to see many faces I haven't seen in a while, some I have. And then also have a lot of people who I'm just excited to have at the conference to see, and of course, meet a ton of new people too. I've got a buddy who I went to college with. He lives in Georgia. He's flying up. Going to hang out with him for at the conference for a few days, and just super excited. Got a big investor of mine coming up, and lots of other people coming. So really excited about the conference and hearing everybody speak and shaking people's hands, all that kind of stuff. So it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I know. And the best part is it's going to be in person. So if anybody who hasn't signed up yet, I mean, go to northstarunlimited.live, sign up. It's going to be incredible. I mean, the networking alone is worth it. But of course, we're going to have great speakers, great topics, great things to learn. But the networking is the real value that you get out of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're going to learn a lot. It's going to be like drinking from a fire hose.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, really just getting to know people and in the industry and learning from them. And it's going to be so valuable. So yeah, tickets are still available, although it's, the conference is like, it's tomorrow. So get on it. Um, there's a promo code, Matt. You'll put that in the show notes too. We'll have that in the show notes, and we'll have the link to the website. But it's northstarunlimited.live, and people can get tickets using the promo code. What's our promo code?
Oh, why don't you use yours, Dex?
They could use
DEX.
Dex. Yeah, that's right. DEX. They get $100 off, and yeah, so love to have you there. So, but let's talk networking, because regardless whether you're going to join us in the North Star Real Estate Conference or you're going to go to some other conference or meetup or whatever it is, this is a super valuable part of doing this real estate business. And the more the older I get, the more gray hair I get, the more I realize the value of my relationships and what they've done to my business to grow and expand it. The more I grow and expand my business, again, the more I see that it's due to my network and how I've grown my network. So super valuable, super important. So let's dive into that, Matt.
Yeah, I think, with networking, like you could just wing it. You could just show up and hopefully, things work out. But I think the best way to approach it is to have a plan going into it. Think about what do you want to get out of the networking?
100%.
Do you want partners? Do you want some deals? What exactly are you hoping to achieve? Think about that and then make a plan to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, extremely valuable advice. I think, yeah, for sure, going there and just winging it, whatever. It's not terrible. At least you're showing up, and at least you're talking with people and you're getting to know them. But I think, like you said, if you've got a plan, um, to know, okay, here's my main objective, it's going to allow you to get that objective a lot better. It's going to allow a lot better networking, in my opinion, to happen. It's going to allow you to connect with the right people a lot easier and quicker. Um, make sure your objective, I should say your objective, make sure the way you're going to get there is not all selfish either, though. That's a big thing when we start to think, okay, what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? What do I need? What do I need? Sometimes we get a little selfish and we forget about there's two people in this transaction, right?
Yep.
And we got to make sure we're building a real relationship, not just making it a transaction.
Yeah, I mean, if you approach somebody and you're like in your interaction with them, you're just always looking for what you can get out of it. That's a really put off for other people. So a better way to approach it is by thinking about how you can add value to them. And that could be a variety of different things. That could be, helping them with a deal, or helping them solve a problem that they have, or connecting them with somebody else who would be useful for them to know. Or it doesn't even have to be business or real estate related. If the person is looking to learn how to play the guitar and you know how to play the guitar, maybe you can help teach them. Just some way that you can add value to them first before you would ever seek anything in return.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be. I get a lot of people who say, well, what can I do? What can I do to help you? First of all, that's super vague. I don't know. I don't know what you're good at. I don't know what you want to do. I don't know how much time you have. So be very specific. Find out a little bit about that person, especially if you're trying to, let's just say you're meeting one of the speakers, right? And you really like what they have to say and you want to learn more from them. You think, wow, that would be a great mentor to have. Well, learn about them, right? Learn about their needs, learn about their desires, learn about what they do for fun, and then figure out how you can provide some value to them, right? That's going to be your way into building a better connection with them. And quite frankly, building a better connection with anybody is find out what they're interested in, right? The cool thing with going to a conference is we're all interested in the same thing because we're all at a conference, right? We're all interested in real estate. So at least you got one thing in common right there. But it's nice to have a couple things in common. Nice to know that, your family is from the same area. Nice to know that you guys both really love to water ski. You really love to go golf. You really love to whatever you have in common. You both really do these things the same. That can be a great connection point.
Yep. And you find all that out by asking questions. We've got 2 ears and one mouth. We should listen twice as much as we talk, because you learn more when you listen.
Uh, it reminds me when you say that of, I think it's How to Win Friends and Influence People, I believe. Dale Carnegie talks about being at some party and this woman he was talking to, and essentially, to paraphrase, like they had this conversation all night and he just kept on asking questions to her. She talked about herself the whole time. And her comment to one of her friends was, she met Dale and he was the kindest, like the most amazing person she'd ever met. Well, she just talked about herself the whole time, right? But it was impressive to her because he continued to ask questions. She really liked who he was. And I don't remember if he got business from her or what the end result was, but you want people to like you. And if they like you, trust you, and get to know you, they're going to be more likely to do business with you, refer business to you, whatever it is. So just that listening is so huge, and asking questions. Be curious, be super curious, and always. And this is hard for me. It's hard for a lot of people, but just always be listening and taking things in and trying to grab something that they said and ask something about it, right? Don't be thinking about your response. That's our natural, I think, instinct, is to think about how are we going to respond to that? Oh, how are we, how, they tell you a story of, something, you go, oh, I did that too. I did this. I did that. Try to make sure you're not saying I very much. Dig in a little farther. And it's okay sometimes to say, oh, wow, I really love to water ski as well. But then you can ask them question. What's your favorite lake to ski on? What kind of boat do you ski behind? Blah, blah, blah. You got all kinds of questions you could ask.
Exactly. I mean, that's bridging a connection rather than, dominating the conversation with talking about how you are the best or the amazing things that you've done or such.
Yeah. 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 There's so many times where you can talk about yourself, but it's easy to talk about yourself because you know yourself. But being curious, being genuinely curious about other people is going to really improve the relationships that you create at these networking events and really gain a lot better connections. Just be genuinely curious. If you're genuinely curious, the conversations flow easy. If you're anxious to to tell them about the cool things you're doing, the conversation is not going to go very well,
Yep,
right? And
exactly.
I think that's where a lot of people stumble. Is it like super? And that's why said at the beginning when you said to be prepared and know what you want to get out of it. I agree 100% with that, but also know that it's not all about you, because I think a lot of people think that, like, they're like, oh, I got to make sure, I do this. I got to make sure I tell them that I'm raising money for a real estate syndication because then they'll invest with me. Really? If they don't get to know you, if they don't like and trust you, they're not going to invest with you, whether they know you do it or not. So don't be so anxious to tell them about what you do.
Exactly. If you build that connection first, where they know, like, and trust you, that like then the doing business with you is just going to be like, oh yeah, of course, that's an easy sort of sale of sorts.
Hey, real quick, I want to talk to you about the North Star Real Estate Conference. We've got the North Star Real Estate Conference. It's a third annual. Of course, we're back live this year after taking a 1 year hiatus and being virtual. We're live. We've got live and virtual options for you. So I'd love to see you there. North Star Real Estate Conference. It's all about cash flowing real estate. So we're going to be hitting on multifamily. We're going to be hitting on all things commercial. We'll be talking about syndications, asset management, all of that stuff that you're going to need to know, and the mindset behind it. I've got great lineup of speakers. So go on to northstarunlimited.live, buy your tickets now. Want to see you there. I want to network with you. I want to shake your hand. I want to get to know you. And we've got a ton of people that are going to be there wanting to do the same thing. So join us, North Star Real Estate Conference, October 7th and 8th. And it is in the Twin Cities at Mystic Lake Casino. So I hope to see you there. And I think it's a great thing to always understand that every relationship that you build, every person you talk to doesn't have to end in a business transaction, right? Because yeah, we're trying to build, maybe you're trying to build your investor list, but if you're always needing to make sure you let them know you're an investor, you let them know that they can invest with you, all that type of thing, you're coming off needy and desperate. And that's a bad position. For me, if I have a conversation with somebody and they don't ask me about investing, they don't ask me about anything, I don't really care, because quite frankly, I've got investors. I will have other people that want to invest. I'm providing an opportunity to people, and it's not for everybody. And so I'm not going to push them to try to push them into it, because quite frankly, when you do that, you end up pushing them away versus pushing them in.
Mhm. Yeah, I think part of having a plan as well is to think about how do you want people to feel about you, because I think I mentioned
Yeah.
this on a podcast recently. I mean, people are going to forget like what specifically you said,
Right.
but they're never going to forget like how you made them feel.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if they feel good about you, they're going to remember that and then be like, oh yeah, Todd, he's a great guy, because I felt really good about being around him. So I
Yeah.
think, do you want them to be annoyed by you? No. You want them to feel, really caring about you and excited about being around you, and feel like you are somebody who is good to know, and somebody who has value to offer. So act in such a way and speak in such a way that makes it easy for them to feel that way about you.
Yeah, I agree. And present yourself in such a way, right? Dress in such a
Mhm.
way. It doesn't mean you need to wear a suit and tie, but you don't show up to a business event in, sweatpants and a t-shirt, right? So yeah, how you present yourself, how you talk about yourself, how you ask them questions, how you treat them, your attentiveness. Smell good too. They'll remember how bad you smell too.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, you could be a nice person, but if you got some serious BO, or too
Or
much cologne or something,
too
that's
much going, yeah. No, that's all good stuff, man. You're going to be talking about some of these
Mhm.
tips too to us. So you got a kind of you're kicking off the conference, um, giving us some key pointers. How do we network properly? Because like you said at the beginning, that's one of the biggest keys of a successful conference is the networking.
Yeah, I consider my presentation at the conference is going to be the most important presentation of all because it's going to help people build better connections in the end.
Oh, game on. My presentation is going to be way more important than yours.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
Competition's on.
We'll see. All right.
No, I mean, but it might be accurate, right? That might be the truth. It sets people up in the right direction if they come with the right mindset about really making this a conference to get to know people, a conference to build relationships with. um, I think it sets people uh, in a great position. You look at our conference that we had live just 2 years ago. We had people that formed partnerships out of that conference. They didn't form partnerships out of that conference because they came with no intention. They formed partnerships out of that conference because they came with intention. They knew what they wanted, and they found the right people through networking, through building relationships. That's what we're looking for. That's what we want. That's what can happen when you go to meetups and events and conferences and stuff like that. And you actually get yourself out there.
Exactly. So I don't know about you, but I tend to be terrible at remembering people's names. But I have a really good tip for how to do it, which is to like our memory in our mind. It's really more visual than it is verbal. And so if you can think of a visual way to remember somebody's name, so like if you learn somebody's name, but then they have the same name as somebody else, like or it sounds like something else, well, like think of a visual way, and the more like crazy and outlandish that visual way is, the better you're going to remember their name.
Yeah. I'm terrible at names too. It's just you know, it's a gift if you've got that name recognition down, because man, it's so important to
Mm.
know people's names. Isn't it valuable when somebody calls you by your first name, especially when they actually remember it and you're like, I don't have no clue what your name is, so but thank you for remembering mine. Like I can't sometimes I can't believe people remember my name. Um so yeah, it's super valuable. So whatever you can do to do that, really important. The nice thing is we're gonna have name tags, so
Mm.
that's a little cheater system, but name tags are great. Uh, remember people's names. Repeating them often too is another tip that I've heard before, and it works.
Hmm.
But I get forgetful about repeating their name. But when you first meet somebody, they introduce yourself, say, "Hey, Mike, great to meet you. Hey, Mike, by the way, what do you do? Hey, Mike, hey, Mike, hey, Mike, hey, Mike, what do you think about this? Mike, why don't you meet my friend? Mike." You keep on saying their name, and eventually you're going to recognize, okay, that guy's name is Mike.
Exactly.
And then you might call him, Bill later, but whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I mean, and even if you like introduce them to other people, you can be like, "Oh, hey, Mike, I'd like you to meet Todd here. Todd, Mike, Todd."
One secret that you can say if you're talking with somebody for a while and you forget their name and somebody else comes up, especially somebody else that
Mm.
you say, you say, hey, hey, Jim, glad to see you, and then you kind of say, hey, this is Jim, and Jim introduces yourself, but you don't actually introduce the guy that you forgot their name, right? Hey, this is Jim. I want you to meet Jim. Jim will shake their hand and they go, I didn't catch your name. And what is it? Right. So does that make sense?
Yeah, no, yeah, I've heard that before too, and I
try,
agree. You know,
try to do this. Sometimes their name never comes up. Sometimes Jim never goes, hey, what's your name? You're like, come on, that backfired on me. It didn't work.
yeah.
But now if you forgot both their names, then you're totally screwed. Like,
Like, hey, you.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, this is this guy. What's your you got to remember somebody's name at least.
Mhm.
But I try to do that with my wife, and sometimes she doesn't play along, and it's like, come on, you got to help me out here. What's your name? You got to say.
Exactly. Great. I mean, and there's no shame in taking notes either. So whether you take notes while you're talking to somebody, you can just say like, hey, I really want to make sure I remember our conversation so I can, continue where we left off for next time. Or you can just like wait until you're done talking and they walk away and then like vigorously take down some notes on the back of their business card or on a piece of paper.
Well, writing a small note on the back of a business card could be very valuable, right? Because that can definitely help you remember people, and especially if you're getting a lot of business cards,
Mhm.
that can help you distinguish people. And so when you connect with them on, let's call it LinkedIn, or send them an email later, you can say, hey, we talked, appreciate the conversation, love to go water skiing with you sometime because you wrote down water ski, whatever. So, yeah, writing small notes. One of the things I think is really valuable, Matt, is not to be the business card ninja as well. And that's the guy who just shows up and doesn't really talk and build any relationship with anybody, but just passes out his business cards like crazy, and thinks that that's somehow going to work. And that's a horrible idea. I would rather go to a conference and meet 5 people than meet 50 people. So go to a conference, meet 5 people. Don't go to a conference and meet everybody in the room. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. You're better off finding those few quality relationships than to try to meet every single person and have everything be shallow.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Anything else, Matt? Any other tips, pointers that you can think of?
I would say, reach out to people. Like if you, because just because somebody is shy doesn't mean that they're not going to be a great partner for you to have or somebody for you to know,
That's a good point.
And so if you see someone a little reserved, reach out, and connect with them,
That's a
because
great point.
you really never know like who is going to be the right person to meet at a conference. It's not just the speakers. You're really going to do more business with everyone else. So you you want to figure that out, I guess. But so don't count anybody out is what my point is. You want to find what those good quality people are just by reaching out.
I think one of the other things is I think people that are introverted tend to either kind of be on their own and not get, like, they're waiting for somebody to approach them. And I so or what they will end up doing is finding the really big group and just kind of blending into that big group. Try to put yourself out there. Try to find the smaller group to talk to. Try to get into just a one-on-one or a group of 3 or 4 people, but not the big group of people where you're just going to be the leftovers. Basically, nobody's going to talk to you. Nobody's going to ask you anything because you're just another guy in the group, and you're not, if you're introverted, you're not out there talking, right? So I think pushing yourself, obviously, if you're an introvert, it's uncomfortable. I get it. I would call myself fairly introverted as well. Um, but you gotta try to push yourself a little bit, and again, being honestly curious helps as far as being introverted, because you're just asking good questions. That's it.
Exactly. Then you don't even have to talk about yourself really. You
You don't
just
have to
ask
talk about
questions.
yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then follow through. I guess follow up afterwards is
Yeah.
important too. You
So
connect with them
important.
on LinkedIn. Send them an email. Meet them for coffee later. Whatever it is, I think that's really important too, because you can't build a relationship in a 10-minute networking session.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
So
I think that's where a lot of people miss out. Like you build that initial connection at the conference, but then you build onto it afterwards. If you don't
yep,
follow up, then it was all for nothing.
all for nothing. Right. Cool. All right, Matt. Um, Nothing else.
One last tip, actually.
Okay. One last.
It's about the meeting after the meeting. What I mean by that is, when you have a meeting, that's good and all. You can build connections there, but the real good networking is the meeting after the meeting.
Mm,
Where a smaller group of people gets together afterwards,
Yep.
That's where the good connections are. And if there's a meeting after that meeting, oh, that's the one you want to be at, because that's the real networking, close knit connection time that you're going to have.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Get to those other meetings and really get involved, and you'll find that those deeper connections happen in kind of some of those quieter settings.
Mhm.
So cool. Well, to our listeners that haven't gotten tickets yet, get those tickets. Love to see you there. Love to shake your hand. Love to actually network with you. For those of you who got tickets and are showing up, we'll see you tomorrow. Excited to have you, and make sure you come and approach both Matt and myself. We want to meet you. We want to shake your hand. We want to talk to you. We want to ask you good questions. So we'll see
Absolutely.
you. We'll hopefully see everybody who's listening to this tomorrow.
Perfect.
All right, man. Well, you have a fantastic rest of the day, Matt. Make every day Saturday.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.